There he is.
Hey, how you doing, man?
All right, what's going on, Jack? How's it going, bro?
Pretty good.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
Was
you too. Thanks so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it.
sure, man. Sure.
Yay. Let's see. Let's get the questions up here. And as I said before,
It's a kind of like So what do you got going here with your gig, man? How long you been doing this, real quick? You been doing?
I've been interviewing for 11 years, actually. Internet radio for uh, yeah,
I'm just gonna make sure our connection's good. Check, check. Kind of lost you for a second. Am I coming in clear there, bud?
you are loud and clear, David. Three, two, one, two, three. You hear me?
I can. I can. That last one kind of went out a little bit, but I think we're okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, we got about 30 minutes. We got 20 questions. Let-
That's good.
Okay. All right. Uh, First question. What drew you to the role of Marshall Riggs in Twisters?
Well, like everything that draws me to any role in any show, it's my agent getting me an audition, really. But I think what it comes down to is the roles like this, man, that I get cast in are roles that I guess you could say are similar to roles that I play in the area that I grew up in, right on. So I know my family in Texas and Oklahoma and even Louisiana. So what drew me to it was the fact that it was in Oklahoma, and I already hit a couple Oklahoma rolls up there. So I thought, well, that's a good chance on that one.
Next. How did you prepare for your role as Marshall Riggs?
Well, it's interesting. I'll be honest with you, brother Jack. When you do these shows like this, and I get the script, they usually give me about. They won't give me the entire script. They'll give me just all the pages that deal with me. So I think in this instance, I got about 26 pages, but those pages are golden, So you have to understand it with my character. Luckily, there was enough about him that he was talked about. So I pretty much took what they gave me and then created, a background for him. And like most of my character work, give him a little life, give him a little history, and gave him a reason for what they're doing, and said, "I know who this guy is," and then took it from there.
Can you describe Marshall Riggs' personality and motivations?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's just providing a service in most instances in his mind. Sure, he's getting an opportunity to get the drop on everybody else, but in his mind, he's just beating him to the punch. It's inevitable. You understand? So they do show up sometimes, Stormpar, and assist people. You know what I mean? But of course, he says he just lets Stormpar do what they want. He don't get his hands too dirty. But that's kind of how he looks at it. I thought.
Right on. What was the most challenging aspect of playing Marshall Riggs?
Well, things like this is it's just the fact that there's only so much screen time and there's not a whole lot of dialogue. So you have to make sure that when you play things like this, that you're very focused in with what's going on in the scene. You got to find that reason why not only was that character written for that scene, but why did the director put you in that scene? And what your energy that you brought through your audition, knowing that how we're going to play it. And so that's real important.
How does Marshall Riggs fit into the overall story of Twisters?
I think he's there is just to create conflict within the story, you know, and to let everybody know that that even when you're trying to help people out, sometimes you may find yourself doing good and find out that you are doing good in many ways, but you are sometimes doing a little bad and a disservice. I think that's kind of why the character was there, to create some some problems in the plot, that people could overcome, right? And you can get more storylines around that.
How did you draw inspiration from real life figures or other characters for your portrayal?
Well, I grew up down here in Texas, and I'm a licensed Texas auctioneer. I can shoot. I've seen a lot of great Texas tops and cowboy hats, and a lot of guys selling cars, and a lot of realtors who advertise on TV, and guys that are usually pretty sharp and pretty slick, and they got back very successful, and they got to be that way by not being an idiot. You know what I mean? And so I tried to kind of schedule around a guy like that that really thought he was trying to help people out and really, and in life, I'm sure this is a guy that goes to church every Sunday. You know what I mean? He's in there. He doesn't think that he's really screwing these people around, not waiting for FEMA to show up and at least give him an offer. So funny.
Definitely. Now here's an important question
Ah,
because we know this gentleman, this movie never would have been, but then again, the writers are important part of this movie as well. And talk about the director here. What was it like working with director Lee Isaac Chung or Chang, I think so.
Isaac is wonderful. In fact, he likes to be called Isaac. I know the words out. Isaac's fantastic, man. He has a very calm, secure, aura about him. And I can say that when we shot the scenes, he's a guy who likes to come up and give you notes very personally. He wants to make sure he's giving you an opportunity to come up with something organic. And yeah, he was great. He was wonderful. He challenged me in such a small scene, but I'm a big fan of direction. And I'm an old time theater actor my entire life of doing all these 80 movies and TV shows. There was 100 plays before that. And so, with the right direction, you never know where you can get in these small moments. And so I knew once we got there, we were in great hands.
That's fantastic. How did you approach the physical demands of the role, especially in action scenes?
Well, I really didn't have any action scenes too much. I drove up in a car and jumped up and walked about 3 feet and started shaking somebody's hands. I didn't, I didn't actually have to walk through any debris, but it was kind of interesting because I did have to drive out of what we pretended to be what was a driveway, and it wasn't. Actually, it was supposed to be a street. It was like a driveway, and I had to drive up and hang left and go through all this debris and not run over the stuff that I wasn't supposed to run over, and this interesting like Land Rover where the controller you had to touch buttons for it to go forward and back, and it was it was real weird. I figured it out, but I had to pull out, hang a left, pull up properly, hit the mark, jump out and do it. Of course, they asked me if I could do it, and I said, "Man, there's not a car, I can't drive." But that for me was kind of the biggest. That was my stunt, was actually driving the car up myself. All we basically see in the movie is me pretty much getting out of the car and then putting my hat on and walking up to the guy whose business had just got blown away. But I'd actually had to pull out of that driveway about 10 times.
Can you share a memorable moment from the set of Twisters?
From the set of Twisters, yeah, I'll say this, buddy. The most memorable moment I had was when we showed up to shoot the day scene where the disaster had occurred. We're in a street where all the houses were destroyed. Now, originally we were supposed to shoot that at night. There you go. We were supposed to shoot that at night, but after the strike and we came back, they couldn't do 2 night shoots. They had to move the shoot along, man. They put it into a day shoot. And I always wondered, why would they want to shoot at night? This is why they wanted to shoot at night. Now we start early in the morning, so we had a safety call on set with myself and the other actors and the crew. That meant about 115 crew members and me and about 6 other actors, right? So we walked down there, and when we walked up to the set, the sun hadn't rose yet, and they had lights on it and smoke kind of coming up out of it. It was so realistic that I thought to myself, my God, I imagine now exactly why they were going to shoot at night. And secondly, it gave me a visceral feeling as if something horrible had just happened. I mean, they did such a good job. And as the sun rose up, man, it looked the same way. It was powerful. I took pictures from my car and showed my friends, and they're going, "That's crazy." I grew up close to the coast down here in Houston. I've seen some serious hurricane damage down there in Galveston and tornadoes and stuff, man. It was crazy. It
Wow.
was very impressive, very impressive. One thing missing from it, there was no nails. All the nails have been removed for our safety.
Uh, right on. How did you and your co-stars build chemistry on set?
Well, the way you build chemistry on set is just you show up and kind of do your thing. Normally, what happens is when we do show up, we have a chance to meet each other briefly, and then we'll go to set and do a rehearsal for lighting, and then we'll step out, and the B team will step in, stand in for us, and we'll go shoot, hang out somewhere, and usually conversation comes around. And for me, I'm talking with the people we're doing scenes with, you know what I mean? And we have a chance to do the rehearsal when we run through it and talk about it a little bit. And that's kind of how we do it. We're all professional actors. These guys have been shooting it, and I've played starring roles and I've played supporting roles. So when I come in, I'm ready to go. I'm hot, ready to step right into that world. And so that's kind of how you build up the camaraderie. And and it helps too after, like, sometimes we go out and have food together and have a drink too, and I get something to eat, and that's a nice way to get to know each other too on set.
Most definitely. And you build certain connections with your co-stars. You basically gain relationships, sometimes good experiences, sometimes bad. I mean, that's just how the business that's just how the business goes.
Man, for us, it was all good. And and usually that's how it rolls on these. I've done a lot of big sets and big shoots, and usually we're just the happiest people to be around each other because we know what we're doing is special, and we're very excited and passionate about our work. That's the most important thing, is everyone's there, man, to get it right and tell the truth. And when you have that equal passion, it really goes great. And it's great because, like I say, our characters, some where you get to hang out with. I was there just limited time, but I got to hang out soon with all the guys I did the scenes with. You know what I mean? And just get to shoot our perspectives and find out what's going on with them in life. And for us, man, it's a wonderful opportunity. We knew we were doing something special. We knew that for sure.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think audiences will find most compelling about Marshall Riggs?
Oh, I guess the fact that people like him just exist. In a way, he's not really stereotypical, but he's just a businessman who's out there to make money. And that shows how the world goes. When some people are suffering, there's always going to be somebody out there trying to make an extra dime off it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, how does Twisters differ from the original Twister movie? Now, we all know the first Twister movie came out in 1996. That's about 28 years ago with Bill Paxton and, Helen Hunt. Great movie, by the way. A lot of people say that this is a remake, but I also heard it being called a standalone, sequel.
I tell you, man, it's like comparing apples to oranges. I try to tell people honestly when it comes down to trying to compare this one. First of all, you look at the original Twister, which almost got cast in, by the way. Oh yes, yes, I was 26 years old, man, with longer hair and was pretty funny. I went up to Oklahoma City and got called back, and they loved me. And the casting director just thought I was the cat's meow, and I freaking and I thought I was gonna get cast. I came back to Houston. They said they loved you. I think they want to put you on hold. And I said that's great. And then it turned out I didn't get it. And I think it was Ricky Masler was the casting director. It was a pretty big one too, because he said it was the funniest one. You're the first one who's done this right. Let's get back from LA. No one could do this. And I went, well, that's easy, man. It's got to have a little personality. And I got beat up by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was perfect for the role. So he got cast in it. I went, who got role? Then I watched the movie and went, he was perfect. What I love about Twister is this. I tell filmmakers, watch this movie. It's a perfect example of how to make a movie. There's not that much dialogue. You're only allowed to see what the camera shows you. And the camera shows you what it can show you is so powerful. And no matter and that's not easy to do. And I think, what ours film in comparison to that was a continuance. It was a tribute to Storm Chasing. No way trying to be that one. But first of all, we got to raise awareness to a new audience. You know what I mean? There's things have changed in 28 years. When I auditioned for that movie, there was no internet. We weren't rolling around rocking the internet back then. There weren't that anybody storm chasing storm teams on YouTube. None of that existed, man. It's a whole new world out there. And with the way that they've written it, and we got the great performances out of everyone, like Isaac Chung did, and just the script was funny, and performances really were just spot on,
Well,
yeah, I think that's the difference. It's more of a tribute, man. It's continuance. It's just keeping it alive. And more people are watching Twister now, which
yes,
is great.
yes. Yes, and it's just yeah, it's amazing. I mind you, I haven't seen the movie yet, which I'm going to. Don't worry. Okay.
I mean, my part's like, you see the movie, you'll go, wait a minute, I'm asking questions, going, wow, and when you're in 3 or 4 scenes, your dialogue's limited, but they're important. Like they always said in the life in the world of acting, there are no small parts, only small actors. Every role was written for a reason, and I can assure you, I've been in enough things to know that everything's there for a purpose.
Absolutely. What themes in Twisters do you find interesting or relevant?
Oh, I think the Storm Chasers, all the kind of the wild camaraderie that they have out there, and also the competitiveness that they have. In fact, when there are big storm outbreaks, there are several teams out there on the road. I look up these storms, to see how these Storm Chasers are doing, and preparation and research for this. Plus, I'm fascinated with it anyway. And when we see them out there chasing, and you see one pullover, you realize, my goodness, I can see 3 or 4 guys in the distance pulled over, and they got little flashy lights on, and I'm like, oh, there's more chasers out there. It's just that kind of genuine excitement and exhilaration these people get to get out there and get that close to these dangerous tornadoes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my goodness, my hat goes off to them because my goodness, they're taking a big risk doing that. I mean,
Oh,
no idea how powerful people have no idea how powerful these twisters are. I mean, they
oh,
a house right off its foundation. I mean, that's how scary they are. I mean, if you watch the first movie Twister, although I mean it's a movie, okay, so they're using special effects and all that jazz. But in real life, just like in the movie, how it was throwing a cow from one end to another, it can do that to a person. You are no match for a Twister. Uh-uh.
in fact, they have them. There's a line, I think, in the original Twister movie where Justice going, "You're in the suction zone," and he goes, "What does that mean?" He goes, "You're in the suck zone where everything there is sucked up." And I go, and now you get to see that 28 years later, when so many people got sucked into the suck zone, and that scene when there's a scene underneath an overpass, and you're like going, "Wow." They always say, "Don't get underneath an overpass," and now we know why. The special effects in this movie were off the chart. I mean, for me, I've been a lot of stuff, and I can always judge something and like it a little bit or like it a lot. I say I really liked it. This thing I really loved. I thought, man, they just really did a great job with this film. It keeps you going. The suspense is there. It's got a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, everybody needed this.
Oh yeah. How did you handle the emotional aspect of your character's journey?
Oh, my character journey is very short, brother. You know what I mean? For me, he's just on one objective: get the information that he needs to get, and make sure he can get a lead for the next property that he wants to buy and take over, and see if he can get a deed processed and move forward with it and plan down the line. That's what it is. Business as usual, man. Business as usual.
Now, this is not in the question. This just came off the top of my head when I'm about to ask you. How many scenes do you have in that movie? If I
Oh,
may.
I missed like 3 scenes, man, like 3 or 4, right? But they mention my name and have a scene where they look me up. I come into town and I'm on the billboard, and then I'm in a scene in one particular place in a diner. Then I'm a scene outside the parking lot. Then I'm a scene at one of the scenes where the tornado erupts, and they're talking about me. And then she looks me up on the internet and goes to my website, and there I am. We took all these pictures out there in Oklahoma, out in the field. It's pretty funny. And we got out there by Jane Helbo taking pictures of me from my promo for my Marshall Riggs Tulsa Land Development Corporation.
Uh,
And yeah, but they mention me a lot, and I've become kind of an issue within it. So that's what's cool about this role, is that it's screen time is somewhat limited, but it's enough there that, and then they continue to talk about the part where it's like, okay, we got a problem with some of the characters. How they're going to deal with that? I mean, of course, if you've seen the movie, you'll check it out and figure it out yourself, man. Yeah.
what is your favorite scene in the film Twisters?
Oh, oh. You know, it's really, God. That's a really good question. I've seen the movie at the theater 4 times, so which one would be good? I mean, there is honestly one particular scene at the very end of the movie. I'll just say when the theater rips apart and the guy flies up in the air and he grabs her by the hand, hanging on to her. And it's not too much of a spoiler because if you've seen any of the trailers, if you've seen any of the posters, there's a picture of Glenn, Glenn Powell, he's holding this gal's hand, one of the team members, and she's flopping in the air. That right there was pretty incredible. And I got to see it in everything. I got to see it in the XD. Then some friends took me to see it in 4D, the roller coaster, and that was incredible. I never sat in a 4D, and if you ever sat in one, this had to be perfect. By the way, Isaac Chung, the director, worked with the people when they put together their effects for this particular thing, and had the stars in the movie advertise it and promote it, and it set a record for the highest sales in 4D ever.
Wow, amazing, amazing.
Crazy, man. Crazy, man.
How do you think Marshall Riggs involves throughout the movie?
How do I think he was? Go ahead and repeat the question for me one more time. I think we broke up.
How do you think Marshall Riggs evolves throughout the movie?
I think he evolves into a villain. It's just someone who's not liked. I can assure you that. Someone that's one of those business pariahs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. What message do you hope viewers take away from Twisters?
Uh, First of all, be aware of how important, how dangerous tornadoes are. I think the most important thing is right there, foremost. Always never think for a second they can't develop very quick. Hope they learned how big and maybe how fast they can move. Certainly take that away. I think they can take away that there's good in every person and people can change their perspectives. And it's never too late to say, I'd like to do something differently.
Oh yeah, it's a big risk. I mean, you could be kissing your wife or girlfriend and say, "Sweetheart, I'll see you later," not knowing if they're going to get killed or what.
Well, I'd like to see in this movie, I think what it comes down to is you got to tread your own path and follow your passion.
Exactly, exactly. How do you balance the dramatics actions of your role?
With me, I just, like I say, I think it goes back kind of what I said earlier, honestly, Jack. It just kind of goes back to me creating a conflict within the morality of what they're doing as storm chasers. And like I say, I don't know how many people. If I'm thinking at this point, people have seen the movie. They know that there's the person that I'm working with is there used to be a friend 5 years ago with Daisy Edgar Jones' character who he's brought in to help them chase stuff. But she was always more of she's a sensei of tornadoes, and she was in it, never for the money. She was just in it for the grant, so she could get the information out there. And then we find out that Javi's kind of, went away to a separate path here, where he's hanging out with me. So it's a it's an interesting interlude. I think that's how mine shows up. It just shows it creates that conflict. It creates a problem in there where someone has an obstacle to overcome and they have a choice to make. And what's that choice going to be?
Oh, oh, exactly, exactly. It's a big choice, big decision. It's definitely not the business for everyone. Although this is a movie, to be very clear, and it's only acting. But in real life, as I stated in our earlier conversation, yeah, that's going on all the
Oh,
time.
well,
But
if you've seen the movie, I mean, you see it. They're going to still chase. It's just he's going to chase, but he's gonna find a different way to get his funding. There's other ways to do it than work with people like me who, like I say, are maybe coming in just a little bit too aggressive, and that's kind of what it is. But in many ways, people say, well, what Marshall Riggs did was perfectly legal, and it is perfectly legal. He's just offering to buy out people who lost their stuff that are uninsured, that
exactly.
are dead, that have nowhere to go and are dead broke. To play the devil's advocate, where are you going to go? You don't have any friends, you don't have relatives, you have absolutely nothing. You have a community shelter to sit in. I'll give you a fair market value for your property and for your uninsured building. I'll add somebody on top of that. And so people go, oh, he's really taking advantage of them. I'm going, oh, is he really? He's just doing it for somebody else does. Now, of course, in reality, I say, well, let's give the government at least a chance to come in and say, we're going to buy out your house or give you, you know what I mean? Give the government a chance to come in and say, we're going to give you 30 days in a hotel and we're going to offer you $10,000 right now. And then we're going to give money to rebuild your house, right? That's what, there's where the bad part of my character comes in. And, there's people out there that do that, man. You know what I mean? They take advantage of people. But then again, some people are like, you took advantage of me. The next person may go, thank God you saved me because we had nowhere else to go.
Wow. Wow. What are your thoughts on the film's portrayal of storm chasers and their work?
So I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I think it shows the excitement. And I think obviously as a movie, we have to elevate things a little bit for cinema. We claim cinematic immunity, but otherwise we're just watching a documentary or reality show, baby. I think it did a great job, and it showed that there's people out there that it gives you an idea of these YouTube channels that do exist, and general excitement of the people, and that yeah, they're out there risking it, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
Very
oh, by the way, Joe Jones wanted to say hi.
Yo, Joe, brother Joe,
Yep.
my man, brother Joe, man.
Yep. He wanted to say he was actually said he was talking to you actually I think it was last week or so.
Yeah, I was talking to him just last week. We was talking. I think if you went and saw the movie and took some pictures for me. Thanks, man. Let's go.
Also, I have to say your well basically I wasn't going to say this until the end of the interview, of course, because I interviewed you about your character. But you did a magnificent, my goodness, performance as Robin Williams. I mean, wow, that was oh my god, how you pull that off was on my.
Which one did you see? Did you see Robin Williams' Price of Fame by any chance?
Yeah,
Or
you're on stage and people thought you were Robin Williams.
oh yes, yes, incredible how that happens, isn't it? Yes, enough. That's the other alter ego who show up next thing I know, people think of Robin Williams. What you're talking about, man? Robin who? He's on here again. No, yes, it is. Come on home. My man. If my brother from another mother, I've been compared to Robin Williams my entire life. I was compared to Robin Williams in high school, and I'd never even seen Mark and Mindy. It's like, who? This girl freaked out at McDonald's and goes, oh my God, you're Mark, you're Mark. I said, what? She goes, you ain't Mark, but you look just like him. I said, who? The man from the TV show.
Oh,
I created a tribute act, brother, and I got to meet Robin. We got to talk about this madness once. Very sweet, man. Got to meet Robin, man, back 2002 after one of his shows in Houston. Sold out, laughed so hard, jaw hurt, and talked about how I had to escape the comparisons to him as a professional actor for years, but it followed me around to a point where it became a wonderful blessing. And it even followed me to the set of Twisters.
wow.
It follows me to set. I was on the set of The Highwayman. I was doing a scene with Woody Harrelson on studio, and V. Neal walked up. And, she was against the wall, and she goes, "I don't know if you realize this, but from the side, you look just like Robin Williams in that scene." And I laughed and I said, "Well, that's because I do a tribute to him." And she said, we look alike. We're very similar in facial structure. And I said, how do you know him? And of course, V. Neal, I'm such a dumb butt. She goes, well, I had him in my chair every day during Mrs. Doubtfire. I did his makeup. And I went, oh, yeah, that V. Neal. Oh, my God, David. I was so focused. I didn't realize that. I said, oh, my goodness. I mean, she's wonderful, 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 fantastic makeup artist. And so I did a little bit of my stuff for her. And then she told everybody that I was in this documentary coming out that Sunday called Robin Williams, The Price of Fame on the Reels channel. You can get it out there now. Robin Williams, The Price of Fame, hour-long scripted. I play older Robin in it, and it's really very good. Some of the heaviest stuff I've ever laid down. And she told the cast, and the next week, everybody walked up to me or congratulated me on my performance in it. And I said, how did you find out about this? They said, well, V. Neal told us, man, because and this followed me on set. You want to hear this story? So I was hanging out with Anthony Ramos, and we got on set. We're shooting the breeze, and I took a picture and told him what I did. And he goes, "Man, you're funny." He goes, "Why do you stand up comedy?" And he goes, "You do?" And I go, "Yeah." And he looked me up. He goes, and he saw me doing a show, and was a really good show. And He goes, was this you? And he goes, when was that taken? I said, I was about 4 months ago. He goes, that was 4 months ago? And I went, yeah. And then so the second day I was shooting, I was up there 2 or 3 times. The second time I was shooting, I was on set. This has never happened. This has never happened. I was on set and wrapped my second day. We got some really great work done, with Isaac Chung, the director. And Isaac walked up to me as we were leaving and said, I don't know if you would mind doing this. I don't want to embarrass you. If you don't want you to do it, you don't have to. And I said, what? No, man, what, brother? He goes, I heard you do a Robin Williams. He goes, if you could you do a little bit of Robin for me? And I went, and I just went, "Yeah, absolutely, Chief. You want to get me down?" And I, I did about 15, 20 seconds for him and cracked him up and sent him on his way. And I thought that was pretty damn funny, man. So it's relevant, right? It comes back to Twisters. It still follows me on set. It's funny.
Born, I want to say thanks so much for speaking with me this evening. I really appreciate it. All the best to your career, and please keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. You get a chance. Don't forget to watch me in Old Man Jackson, the movie I star in, the PG comedy. It's an entire hour, 45 minutes of me being, well, let's say not the bad guy. Then again, am I? Yo, peace out, brother. Thank you so much, Jack. Cool. I appreciate you. Thank you, viewers.